I know what it is like to lose, to feel so desperately that you're right, yet to fail all the same. Dread it, run from it. Destiny still arrives. Dreadnought still emerges with their, I believe, studio debut album. Ben can correct me if I am wrong on that. And Dreadnought's Emergence that came out in 2019. No, it's not their debut album.
It's their fourth.
There we go.
Which gives less excuse for how it sounds.
And with me, as always, is the Reverend Ben Lindsay and the Dr. David Pizza, and specially featured guest Gabe. How y'all doing today?
All right.
I'm one all right, not multiple all rights, but here we are.
It's time for some doom-prog, y'all.
Doom-prog.
I don't think it's doom-prog.
I don't think it is
either. Bandcamp told me so, and
I think the band would tell us that this is doom-prog.
I think they would too. But
liars.
This is Emergence, as David said, their fourth studio album. It was released on May 10th of 2019. It was recorded at the Boar's Nest, was released on Profound Lore Records, mastered by James Plotkin, has a runtime of 46 minutes and 42 seconds, which somehow felt longer. The band is Kevin Hanlon on bass guitar, Jordan Clancy on drums, percussion, and tenor saxophone, Kelly Schilling on guitars, flute, and clean and harsh vocals, and Lauren Vieira, I hope I pronounced your last name correctly, on keyboards, despite what I wrote there, and clean vocals.
I feel like Keyboard is the premier performance artist from Kazakhstan.
Yes, you're probably right there. So yeah, this is I believe a Canadian band.
Denver, Colorado.
Denver, that's close to Canada.
I mean, it explains a lot. I mean,
that was
Canadians
a Kentucky
kill
answer.
us, man.
It was a total gag.
Kentucky's like, it's Canada. It's mountains, Canadian Rockies, tap the Rockies. I don't know.
They get snow there.
So normally we talk about why we picked this, but an algorithm picked it. So
allegedly.
Or so the Germans would have us believe.
Exactly. Right.
Or Google would have us believe, because it was their random number generator that picked it. So
how did you find this?
I'm the one that put it on the list.
I was about to say, you're the one who discovered it and put it on the list, because I had never heard of this at all.
Nope.
Well, I enjoyed it, or else I wouldn't put it on the list. God, did I have it ranked in 2019? Let's see.
You probably did. I love that it has a woman front person, and I love this keyboard. Yeah, I like that. That's good. And there are moments where they really, when they sort of hit their stride, it's pretty good. But a lot of the stuff is fluff. I don't know. Just exists, like packing peanuts. I'm like digging through, looking for something.
So it is on my 2019 list, into your list.
Of course it is.
It is number 79.
That's what I'm talking about, Gabe. Don't feel bad.
How many did you rate that year? I don't remember.
92.
92.
All right then.
Jay's like, wow.
So sorry, go ahead, please, Ben.
No, you go ahead.
I was simply going to say, Tracy, you yourself assert that 78 albums are better than this one.
But there were 78 albums better than that one when I listened to 500 albums that year. So it's in the upper 20%. Still, so I mean, it's
top of the bottom, bottom of the top.
Yeah. Like, hey, you made it to playoffs, but you lost in the first round. Congratulations. That's what it is. I enjoyed it. I enjoy this shit to kind of, I'm going to call it post-metal, because it reminds me also a lot of two other bands that we've done in Huntsman with their American Scrap album, in Ilaria Carpathian Summit, where they do this mix of like black metal and harsh, and they just kind of bundle all this stuff together, put it out there, and they also bring it in with like the softer undertones, bits of jazz influence at the end of it as well.
I don't think it's as good as American. Yeah, I don't think it's as good as American Huntsman, but I think it's better than the second one you named.
You gave that one like a D.
Yeah, well, I think this is better. The thing about this one to me, and is a lot of the criticisms that Gabe put to the Iron Maiden album that we reviewed last time I feel here this wonders and it's kind of pointless, but I enjoyed most of what I heard. I was just like, where the fuck is this going? And do I care if it gets there? And I don't know if it ever did get where it was going, but it at least wasn't a terrible ride.
Journey before destination.
I found it wandering and pointless and not that enjoyable. It wasn't terrible, but it just, I don't know if any of these things resolve. I don't think they cohere very well, Tracy. I understand what they're trying to do. They went to the buffet with some tongs and tried to grab all these elements and put them together. And I guess it coheres maybe better than the Apocalyptician Writer, but that's, I don't know. Again, I think I may be a victim that we've had several of these rambling ass things in a row. So, and I like prog, but it's also down tempo. Like if you take prog and reduce the tempo, I don't know, y'all.
I think that's what saved it for me was the doom elements.
I believe that.
It was a lazy river.
It wasn't proggy enough for me, and the doom, as you know, always annoys me slightly unless it's really good. So I'm sorry I'm pooping on this album. It's listenable. I'm not gonna fail it. It's not my favorite. But that's personal, it's a personal choice.
So I think that there is another point for this band where they would have been appealing for me, which is the band Deaf Heaven, which is doing something like this, but doing it in a little bit more compositionally complex way. And also they don't have a female vocalist, and also significantly, they don't put the piano so forward in the mix. And if you put the piano forward in the mix, it does sound like jazz, even if you're not playing jazz, right? Because it's like a rock album. So there are places here where that vibe works, right? But there are also and there are places where it gets a little bit heavier and the tension goes up, and that's really good. But at the same time, there are moments where it drags and where the instrumentation gets super thin for no reason. Like it just kind of gets nothing is happening really. And do I want to go along for that ride? And how long am I going to go on that ride for? That was sort of the impression that I had at a few points in this record. Not to say there aren't pieces of it that I didn't like. I did find things that I liked, and the flute also adds a nice layer to it.
Yeah, I like the flute more than the piano in this album. I like piano music. I like jazz, but I didn't get on this ride for that. I don't know.
To me, all the disparate elements I like a lot. It's just the combination of them into this whole didn't necessarily work. Because I like the female vocals, both the clean and I'm not sure whether the person did clean and harsh vocals is a man or a woman, but I thought the vocals were okay when they were actually doing something. Sometimes it just sounds like it was the Apocalyptician Writer where they were just vocalizing. And I don't necessarily want to listen to that, but I like the flute. I liked the other elements. I even like the piano. It's just that the trees are very pretty. The forest, not so much.
I think it was the females that handled the vocal duties.
Well, there's two listed vocalists. That's why I didn't know for sure whether they're both female or what, because I don't know anything about this band and I didn't look anything up.
But I'll second what Gabe said about Death Heaven, about doing a similar style, just mix and match and throw it in a blender and see what comes out.
I think Deaf Heaven does it a little bit better in the sense that they do it more intentionally, or at least it comes across as more intentional. And there's the choices that they're making, they sound like intentional choices and not just a mix of stuff. Not to say that this band always does sound like a mix of stuff, but there are moments where you don't know what is happening, or like you're not led to think that something is going to happen because there isn't anything happening. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and I'll say I think Death Heaven also has a bit more of like, I'm trying to think of a way to describe it, and the only thing I can think of like comparison is they have a bit like a splash more of Converge to them, which I know for Ben and David is a bad word that doesn't take.
Well, they also have more like black metal signifiers. Like they have more blast beats. They have more like it's like hugely distorted guitar, stuff like that.
Yeah, like, and that's what I was getting like the Converge like comparison there.
I don't know about that Converge thing, but I would have liked some blast beats and some really distorted guitar on this album.
For sure, because that doesn't code as Converge to me at all.
Well, everybody here has listened to Zeal and Ardor, right? To an extent, or has heard of them.
Heard of him. Still catching up.
Who?
Zeal and Ardor.
Oh yes, yeah. I've listened to Zeal and Ardor. Yeah.
Like they remind me a little bit similar to like of him. Since I think that is a one-man band.
Yeah, that stuff's better than this. But
I mean,
yes, I see what you're saying.
I wasn't going to argue that point.
I get the I get the comparison though. That's interesting.
Well, I mean, I really don't have anything else to say. Should we go to the song?
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else, Tracy? This is sort of your 797th out of 20,000 best album of 2019.
No, nothing else.
All right, let's hit these songs. All
We got
5 of them. I knew I was in for it. When I turned this on, I was like, "Oh, is this an EP?" Tracy never. I thought EPs didn't go on the list. Then I looked at the length of it and said, "God damn it!" At least it is only "quote unquote" 46 minutes. But the fact that it's 5 tracks, I think that's part of what makes it drag, man. I think the lack of resolution and the moments of silence, and where are the blast beats? Anyway, what you were just describing, like that would have been great if some of that had been in here. It's too long.
Mm-hmm.
It is too long.
Well, I'll jump on the Sword Forest for the track
Please.
listing.
Sorry, I'm just
I'll make it a little easy for you guys. I don't think any track is in particular fantastic in the sense of like one sticks out over the others, but I do enjoy all 5 tracks.
That is actually where I would come in. There's not a single track I would pull off of here if I wanted to listen to this, and not necessarily just this specific album, but this doom-prog thing. I would just put on the album and sacrifice 46 minutes to listen to it, as opposed to go in and listen to however long Pestilent is.
I didn't really like any of these songs. I will probably not play it again. So none of them really resolve. I don't know. They just sort of wander and meander. And sometimes I'm tolerant of that journey. And I'm sorry if I'm sounding like an asshole. They play way better than I ever will. It opens okay. I guess I kind of like Besieged. But ultimately, by the time I got to Waking Realm, I just wanted it to be over.
So I actually had a couple of tracks that I thought were my favorite tracks on here. I really thought that Besieged was well done. The piano works. The vocals are really lovely and have a harmonic quality to them. They have clean singing and yelping on this track, which I thought were really nice. And the feel that they have is in 3, but it's like very quick and it drives forward and it's nice. They could have done that on other tracks, but they didn't. For the second one that I thought was a standout was Tempered. It builds up tension well. It goes up and comes back down, and it has this cool thing after the flute entrance around 8 minutes in. I think that's an interesting track from the structure as well as how it sounds, and that's nice. I don't think that the other tracks hold up in terms of either category, though. Same complaints that basically Ben and David had, that they just have the sense that the tracks don't go anywhere. It has to do with tempo a lot of the time, where it just stays mid-tempo and doesn't really do much. But it also has to do with, the lack of attention building, and you can accomplish that with tone or with composition, either way. So yeah.
All right, let's grade this thing. Who wants to go first?
David, since your thoughts are so strong on it. Well, you went first, didn't you, on the last one?
No, I think Ben did.
Okay.
I'll go first because I'm an asshole.
Where's the floor at?
The thing is, I like enough things that they're not failing out of school. I'll give them a C-. I just Converge. No, and I would grade Converge lower now, as I told you. The reason I gave Converge a bump is I read 100 reviews that said it was the greatest album ever written, and I felt I was like gaslighted anyway. But
you got blackmailed into that grade.
I got blackmailed into that grade. Anyway, this is a C-. It's not for me, but and I even like genre bending. This just wasn't the right mix of elements. But if you like genre bending, give it a spin, see what you think. C- for me.
I'll go next. I'm gonna give it a solid B, an 85. I think it's solid. It does what it. I think it's a good album. I think it is what it is, and I definitely believe this is an album that you're either gonna like it or you're not gonna like it. I don't think there's a lot of middle ground where it's like, oh, it's okay. I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give it. It's an okay album.
Tracy with the prog bump.
No, not a prog bomb. I just enjoy them. Hey, pretty much into your list, I end up building them off with just about everything that's a B or B plus that I think and grade them from there. So I mean, and
Well,
it's at the bottom end of a B, so maybe an 84.
Sounds good. I'm going to give this a C because there are definitely a couple of tracks on here that I think are successful, but the rest are not. So we'll say a 75.
I'm going to give this a B minus because this is not something that I'm going to return to a whole lot, but I didn't hate the experience. It wasn't, it was unsatisfying because there wasn't a whole lot of resolution, but it also wasn't infuriating because it was objectively terrible, like Converge, or because it had a billion ideas going in 15,000 different directions, like Between the Buried and Me. So if you just want to play your trombone and your flute and everything and do down stuff, cool, man, I can listen to that and do my dishes and that'll be fine. So B minus.
I just want to say, I think part of the issue, not to make it all about genre, and I know we get too tripped up in sometimes, but found that like if you combine like prog and death, I could be into it. Doom and maybe like death and roll, like I can tolerate all the combinations, but doom and prog, it just doesn't work. I don't like either genre enough to wait. Like you get a Venn diagram, and in the middle of that Venn diagram is a C minus.
What I need to find you is that epic doom power metal.
You know, I was playing Unleash the Archers for Pierre. I've been brought around a little bit, and Paladin was pretty good too. But some power metal's terrible. It's got to be really good. It's got to be good. It has to be really good, or it doesn't land. Ben and I have said this before. If your vocalist cannot deliver at least Bruce Dickinson with his vocal cords ripped out by cancer grade performances, like where it doesn't work. It's not convincing.
So if it's Sabaton, I'm better.
For example. But now we're just rambling about genres. Tracy, what the hell are we doing next?
We are going to hell. And we are diving into the cesspit of music. And it's the start of our Spooktober bonanza. And we're
Spooktacular, my brother. Spooktacular
October.
Catastrophe.
We're going to be diving into the cesspool of America and the world. And America must be stopped. As you look at Gwar.
I'm super pumped about that. We're going through a lot of Gwar, y'all. Remember when Paradise Lost, those of you who've been on this ride for a while, took me and Tracy and Ben and duct taped us up and put us in a basement for months? Well, that's what's happened with Gwar.
Me and Ben were willing prisoners for that. You just kind of got drugged along for that. You were willing in as
well. Oh, I chose this. Yeah, then I was just like, can we just listen to Slayer more? And you finally said no. And so I did. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I love talking about Gwar. We can talk then about why I started what I did, because some fans will be angry at me where I started. So I do feel I have to address that. But we'll do that when we tune in next time, which I hope you all will, on Thunderdome Metal Reviews.